Hello, church. Thank you for joining me here on YouTube for just a quick little sum up of 1 Peter chapter 5. This is the end of Peter's letter to the church, and he's kind of wrapping up all of his thoughts in this general exhortation to the people involved in the church. So first he addresses the elders and the witnesses in the church that they need to shepherd God's flock. Not that they're controlling or overseeing or doing this out of greed or any sort of fleshly desire, but that the people who are elders in the church, those who are serving in ministry, the older people in the church, would really just kind of bring together the whole flock, keep them safe, protect them, give them good meat, good scriptural meat to chew on, lead them to safe places to exist and rest. So that when the chief shepherd, when Christ comes back, they will be rewarded for glorifying God, and the flock will be kept safe. And then he goes on and addresses the younger people of the church in the same way. And he says, hey, I just addressed the people ahead of you, the people above you, younger people. I just asked them to be humble and to lead out of the goodness of their hearts and the strength of their relationship with Christ. So I'm asking you guys in the same way, with humility, with understanding, please be subject to them. Listen to the people who have come before you. Listen to their wisdom. Listen to what they have to teach you. And then he asks everybody to be humble because God resists the proud. He gives grace to the humble. He says, humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, so that he may exalt you at the proper time. Cast all your cares on him because he cares about you. And I think that that's something really important in the life of the church right now. We're kind of experiencing this, what do we do? There's COVID-19 and it's not going to last forever. So how do we make sure that we're fulfilling our mission properly in the church? And I think that Paul's words here, exhorting the elders of the church to shepherd out of the love and compassion that Christ has put in their hearts and not out of personal selfish greed, and exhorting the younger people to rise up, to be part of the church, to be involved, but to stay humble and remember that they don't know as much as the people who have gone before, and there's a reason God has placed certain elders in there. But then, of course, we wouldn't be left without a general reminder to cast our cares upon Christ, to stay with him, to stay focused on him, and to be humble together, all of us be humble. And then Peter concludes the letter talking to the whole entire church and says, be serious, be alert. Your adversary, the devil, is prowling around like a roaring lion, looking for anyone he can devour. We know this. We've heard this passage. Those of us who have grown up in the church have probably heard this symbolism a lot, that the devil is roaring and looking around, knocking on doors, trying to find people that he can swoop up and away from Christ. And Christ says, through Peter, resist him and be firm in your faith, knowing that the same sufferings are being experienced by your fellow believers throughout the world. We're not alone, church. Any sufferings we experience, other churches are experiencing. It makes me think of missionary stories from missionary friends who come back and tell us about the persecution in other countries, and we just can't imagine what it'd be like to be scared that someone's going to come shoot us for expressing faith in Christ Jesus. Well, now, I don't know if I would call it persecution per se, but the greeting and gathering together in person is definitely being limited by current social and, global pandemic, the situations that are happening. And so, any sufferings, any lack of fellowship that we're feeling, remember, we're not alone. And then Peter wraps up this letter reminding us all what it's all about. It's all about God. Now the God of all grace, who called you to his eternal glory in Christ Jesus, will personally restore you, establish and strengthen, and support you after you have suffered a little while. The dominion belongs to him forever. Christ is the one who stands forever. He is the one who wins in the end. We heard this Sunday morning about joy, how Christ came as a lowly baby, and through all of this he still had joy, and there was rejoicing when he was brought to earth. There was joy of the shepherds and joy of Mary and Joseph. And so in this time of trials and temptations and sufferings, and it feels really hard and it feels really rough, remember that Christ will restore you, Christ will strengthen you, Christ will support you. And let's cling to that joy that Matt talked about, that no matter what happens, we still have the church, we still have each other. Those of us who are younger have the elders of the church to look up to and to ask questions to and to learn about what they have to say. And those of us that are older have wisdom to share, to help people who this may be their first time really struggling through the faith. You all have the wisdom of struggling through the faith and working through all of the things that have happened in your life that you can share, and we can all learn and grow together. So I'm going to end this off with the end of Paul's thing, the last half of the last verse. Peace to all of you who are in Christ. Bye guys, see you Wednesday.